Good morning. I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News, coming to you from our digital desk. We want to talk about SNAP benefits and some changes that are going to affect actually all of Ohioans. It's actually changes across the country. But we're talking about thousands of people who really need to examine to make sure they don't lose or get a pause to their benefits because of these changes. We're going to welcome in from Cuyahoga County, Kevin Gowan. He is the Director of Job and Family Services for the county. Director, thanks for taking the time today. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for asking.
Let's start
Thank you for
with,
having me.
absolutely, let's start with where did these changes come from? This is a part of federal legislation.
Right, they're part of House Resolution 1, also known as the One Big Beautiful Bill, that made significant changes to the SNAP program and into the future, the Medicaid program.
And we're going to focus just today on SNAP because there are a number of changes. And for the people watching this, if you want to see the list of changes, go to cleveland19.com. In this article, we have posted what is the guidance from the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services. I'm going to read through a couple of them, and then with the director, we'll discuss maybe where we're going to see some of the biggest changes. Adding SNAP work requirements for adults who are ages 55 to 64 and are able-bodied. Removing work requirement exemptions for residents experiencing homelessness, youth formerly in foster care, and veterans. Adding work requirements for parents whose children are all age 14 and older. How would you describe these changes? Is this a major change, and what is it that we're looking at as far as these work requirements?
So yes, I would categorize this as a significant change, as a major change. The population that is impacted by this in Cuyahoga County alone, that adds about 21,000 people to the population we need to look at. Now, both our office and the state office have done the vetting of those people, and our initial findings are at 5,100 people out of that actually now have work requirements before them. And so that is a major sweeping change for the program. It's a significant difference in the work requirements. They have to meet those work requirements to continue to receive SNAP.
So give me an example. I'm a parent who has SNAP benefits, gets them every month. I have two children, ages 16 and 17. That now means I have to prove I'm working or working more. Is there a threshold, or prove I am working, period?
So if you're working, part of the SNAP eligibility process is that we do have to know your income. So if you're working more than 30 hours or 30 hours or more per week, you're meeting the requirement. You continue to meet the requirement, you're good. If you're not, if you're working less than that, you need to move up. If you're not currently working, we have what we call the SNAP Employment and Training Program. That's a nationwide program. We have 7 local workforce providers that we work with to get people into those programs, and continued involvement and engagement in that program meets the work requirement as well. And those providers are, we contract with providers that work at, they work within in-demand industries to try and get people into career path jobs. So we have that program available as well. People can also volunteer or do in-kind work. And to meet that requirement, however, that's a bit of a higher threshold, or a relatively high threshold, where you have to be volunteering 80 hours per week or per month, pardon me, 80 hours per month. And we do need that verified by that third party that you're volunteering with.
Let's talk about how soon this goes into effect. We know the law actually went into effect February 1st, but when might we see SNAP recipients who are saying all of a sudden, where's my money, or why didn't I get deposited on my card this month? How soon is there going to be kind of that whiplash moment?
So as part of all of this, and when the federal law went into effect November 1st, Ohio has to rewrite their laws and also adjust the benefit management system to incorporate all of this. So you mentioned February 1st. People were notified December 31st with a short notice, and then a notice, a much longer notice that meets federal regulations was sent out the last week of January to let everyone know who has been identified as now work required, that those requirements are in front of them. As part of the work requirements for SNAP, and work requirements for SNAP have always been in place for able-bodied adults who had no dependents, ages 18 to 54. That's been in place for some time, and those work requirements include, or when that happens, or when people who are work required are entitled to 3 months without meeting the requirements every 36 months. So practically speaking, for this population that is now recently work required, March, April, and May, they'll still receive their SNAP if they're not meeting the requirement. But June, if they haven't met the requirement to that point, is the first point at which we'll see people start to lose benefits.
And the first people, and I just want to make sure we're clear, that's the people without dependents who have to show work every 3 months.
They have to show work every month with that, but and this is a bit of a nuance and a bit complicated, but they are eligible for 3 months of SNAP without meeting the work requirements every 36 months. So practically speaking, people who are now work required starting in March, they'll receive those 3 months before they're facing a benefit loss.
Okay. But that's for the people without dependents. What about people who have dependents, the people who fit into those other categories that now have new requirements? When
So
is it? Go ahead.
Yeah, so the age expansion, that it applies to that entire group. So the people that are now 50, the people that are 55 to 64 now have those work requirements. They mirror the same as the original program, and then individuals whose minor children are all 14 or older will also have those same exact requirements. Yes.
So, what do I do if I'm someone on SNAP who now has these? Do I need to make sure that I'm documenting, reporting, that I'm getting into the system? There's this new responsibility here.
Correct. So we should have, if they're currently employed, we should have that on record. As I said, income and employment is part of the eligibility process. So we should know if they had suddenly become employed, they need to contact us and let us know of that change, let us know where they're working. And so that we can update our records to reflect that. And if they're volunteering, they need to let us know that they're volunteering. And there's a form that they need to complete, and whoever they're volunteering with needs to complete as well, or needs to authorize, approve to let us know that they're in fact volunteering there. And then if they're looking to us for help, we have our employment training program where we'd sign them up with one of our providers, and they would engage in that program to get them to get them employable skills and to help with job placement.
I want to make sure I have the numbers correct here. You said you've identified in Cuyahoga County alone about 21,000 that are now have these new requirements, and then you threw out another number like 5,100.
Yeah, so the 21,000 represents those changes, the 14 and up, parents 14 and up, and the individuals are age 55 to 60 who are now we have to explore work requirements for. When all is said and done, the majority of those people are either eligible for exemptions or already meeting the work requirement. And so those who are now newly find themselves having to meet the work requirement is actually 5,100.
Makes sense. And of all these changes, and what is your level of concern for the 21,000 eligible or meet, and now the 5,100 that really look like those are the ones we need to be focusing on?
Right.
What is your concern that they don't hear the message, they didn't know? How high or low is your level of concern here?
So we beginning in July when this first passed. This passed on July 4th. We began meeting with the community. We've had several forums regarding these changes, and we wanted to make sure one of our prime concerns at this point is public awareness. So we've had 30 informational sessions with both community partners and the public at large to let them know that this is coming. We've reached out to media outlets like yourself, so I want to thank you again for having us here because public awareness is incredibly important at this point, and we want to get the word out. Our organization JFS has a Twitter and a Facebook feed where we let people know of these changes coming on. We've been posting regarding that. Cuyahoga County Executive Renee has tasked us with forming a hunger response team. We've been meeting with local nonprofit and government partners regarding how do we get awareness out there, how do we address how do we change our systems to adapt to this. And that hunger response team has a page on the Cuyahoga County website with useful information and that to increase public awareness. And for people who have questions about how this all works, we're putting it out on that hunger response team webpage, and we'll continue to be out in the community, letting people know about these changes and pushing it out there, and do our best to increase awareness and make people aware.
And I'm assuming the worst thing, and we've seen this in other areas of people's lives, the worst thing somebody can do is do nothing. If you have questions, don't just assume that you're okay. You need to do something.
Correct, especially if you received the letter, especially if there were two letters that went out or you received one of those letters, you need to address that. One of the things that we run across with work required population is they may actually qualify for an exemption, but they haven't disclosed why they might qualify for an exemption. And that should be clear. Exemptions, there are the standard exemption, the most common exemption is that they're physically or mentally unable to work. We just need a medical professional to say that they're unable to work due to physical or mental impairment, and that's something that we record in the system, and they're no longer work required. They're exempt from those requirements. That's a big awareness piece that we need out there. People don't always share that with us when they first apply for benefits. It's really important now that they share that possible exemption with us.
Excellent. Keith Gowan is the Director for Cuyahoga Job and Family Services. We certainly appreciate the time today, and it is about public awareness, so thanks for coming on with us today.
Appreciate your help getting the word out.
Absolutely,
Thank
sir.
you very much.
Take care. That's going to wrap it up. Again, just such an important component to getting the information out here on these changes to SNAP benefits, mostly in the area of work requirements. Again, go to cleveland19.com. We've given you all the links that have been provided to us by the county to get your questions answered, to be able to fill out some of the paperwork that you need to make sure you continue to receive SNAP benefits. If we have any other news breaking, it'll be right here on our digital platforms. Our 11 o'clock news just got underway on Cleveland's 43. Then look for our noon news on Channel 19. Until then, I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News. Have a great afternoon.